Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We got some new things to review here. I got a request from someone who wanted to see a review of some putters. We got lucky weather, we have laser weather, so I'm not going to use the chalk line today. We found our straight putt. I want to talk to you guys today about these toe-up putters. This specific one is from the company called Axis. This is not a paid review. This is just interesting things. You know, we talked one of our other videos about face balance, and oddly enough, one of these, as we know, our phones listen to us. One of these ads came up, and I thought this might be interesting, and then a request came through. So, understanding what a toe-up putter is that when you balance it, face balance, balance like this, toe balance straight up. And according to their founder, it is the idea that a putter is balanced in this way, not for it to balance that way. And so this toe-up putter is supposed to help keep the face square to the target as long as possible. There's some interesting finds that I have before I have come out to the course here today. So, but before I give you those, I just want you guys to see it for yourselves. So I have the mallet style and the blade style. Mallets in general tend to produce a fade bias. There's some companies that did not do it on purpose, but they wind up doing the opposite. And blades in general will have more of a draw bias or be closer to neutral. Let's get started. Here's the Axis One, toe up. Okay, so we're going to start with the blade. All right, there's nothing so far that I'm seeing that something does better or not. Obviously a couple of putts and you can make adjustments, but okay, so I noticed that we do have to get our hands. If we look at the way this is offset already, we're seeing like it tends to get closed, so you have to get your hands just a touch forward. I'm gonna try the couple more and let's take a look. Yeah, you have to get that little bit of forward press going, and then it kind of feels like the club is just a touch right, but we're getting it square. But then that's interesting because it brings in the issue of getting too far left when you get the forward press, and then so let's try this blade now, because blade's definitely, the mallet's definitely a little better for that as you get your hands forward again, because it tends to close. Right here I'm using right now, it's the rose model. Interesting. Okay. All right, get into a groove. This one right here is the Axis One Rose. But again, if you look at it, I have to really get my hands forward right here. And this is square, right? So look how far forward my hands are. And right here, it's quite a bit, something to get used to, and let's see, you know, as we move further back, we'll see if this is something to think about. Just kind of running through my mind as I got kind of the position of this back here and reading the green. You know, face balance, toe up, the idea is that it's holding the line better. So, you know, on short putts, we might see that immediately, right? Where you're getting the advantage of the face being square to the line. But as you move further back, to make longer and longer putts, just like to hit a golf ball straight, there needs to be face rotation. And this guy kind of stops face rotation. So I'm interested to see what starts to happen here in terms of, you know, do I start to over-rotate the face, or do I under-rotate the face and kind of hit, you know, little maybe cuts with it. So we'll be monitoring for that. That's really, I think, what we're looking for. I'll try first the blade, and then we'll move to the mallet. So we're going to start with the blade here. We're about a ball off to the right. Kind of, like I said, with this, you really got to get your hands forward from the front of the camera to look like that. So my hands are forward. It's almost like a chip. Say that I'm having an easier time or a harder time getting it online, but the hand position, so we tried the blade, now we're going to try the mallet style. This is again the one that Justin Rose is using. So again, the mallet tends to not close as fast. See, I'm already getting on the other side of the hole, right? So if you're a left-miss guy, then you want to look at the mallet version. Interesting. I think there might be something. There might be a little bit here in terms of, you know, that face staying square, especially if you're a rotator, but meaning like you release the club. But if you don't release the club, right, if we have a different style stroke, right, like let's say I'm a holder, so let me hit this one there, I kind of hold the face from releasing. Okay, interesting. So this head is actually really light, right? So in terms of the way it moves, I don't know if they did that on purpose or not, but as the heads get heavier, interesting. So I think with either one of these, I'm definitely more of the mallet. Something I do want to mention here is that this back piece is a composite material. It looks like feels like some kind of plastic. The fact that it's lighter, like I said, the ability to rotate the face, I think is really important in this design, because if it's not, if you couldn't rotate the face, you couldn't keep the ball online. But this lighter head, I think, is the thing that makes it able to do that. So I'm going to shut off the laser. We're going to putt around a little bit from different angles, and kind of just, I'll let you guys see where it fits in. A slightly clicky sound to it, but you know, nothing you couldn't get used to. I'm still trying to figure out how much forward press I want in this setup. It's a push putt. I think, you know, just in the mid-round here, I'm going to say like a push putt's going to be a push putt. Are there some nuances about this putter that are actually really interesting and that they work? absolutely. Like, I find that as I bring it back and maybe I kind of waver offline, it is nice to be able to bring it back in line. There seems to be some kind of the toe balance mechanism really does kind of help hold it a little bit. A misread's going to be a misread though, for sure. As this head is lighter, I can still definitely feel there might be an over rotation, but obviously depending on the player and how much they rotate their hands through and around and release the club, really the weighting of this will be affected in a positive or a negative way. But I want to do I want to do just a little bit more, maybe feel putts coming down the hillside hill. So let's see. Now I'm gonna take a minute now to line this up. See if I can hit my line that I intended. Got it almost a foot outside or so. Again, the sound on this one is just really, you hear like a plasticky click. It's not made up. Again, my hands feel like I'm in a way forward press, almost like I'm hitting a wedge. So, interesting. I don't know. You know, it's hard to. Say it does feel like I'm losing my bigger misses, but in terms of missing, I don't know. There's no I don't think I'm any better on getting it online or roll or feel. Yeah, I think we've given it a pretty fair test. I think it's better than average, but I just think there's some big obstacles for this to overcome. Right? Again, that forward press is just, I struggle with that. Because if you look at it from this angle, to get that face square at the start, that's a lot. All right, so I think here it's time for conclusion and wrap up. Let's talk. So the rows, if you're gonna look at them, for me, my preference is, as I tend to release the club more, the blade is definitely something that will over-release. I got it a little left, you saw that, that's why I went with the rows, that's why I brought these two, so mallet versus blade. The back end of this is really light, so it'll be a very dialed down version of a mallet. The heavier the mallet gets, the more weight on the toe, those kinds of things. But these are both toe-up putters, so technically they're all really balanced at the toe, more weighting at the toe anyway. So the technology, let's think about this as the technology. I do want to, you got to give them credit. They're committed to their vision right here with the toe up. And I think it's a law of diminishing returns, whereas the short ones, it seemed really nice kind of keeping it square. So if you really struggle with short ones, you know, this might be a good place for you to look. But as you kind of get out, I think, you know, it's you understanding that you have to really forward press this thing. I mean, this is square. If you look at it right now, this is square. So look how far forward your hands have to be. So if you're not really a big forward press guy, this is really tough. And if you look at it, bam, look how far forward that has to be. So now let's talk price points. The Tour, this blade is $399, and this Rose version, the Justin Rose Axis one, is $450. So, you know, in terms of fitting, and I mean, I've been around putters anywhere from a couple of hundred, 100. I fit people for putters in the $40 range because it just worked better for them. I just don't know if $450 for this putter, if there's enough in here. Granted, if you're a guy who's really struggling with some short ones, I would say this is worth a look, but overall I don't think it's going to be any better in terms of your putts to keep it online from 20 feet. You just saw a couple that I hit where I intended to get it a little further in one direction, and I struggled with the face, with this having to be so forward pressed just because of this design. The goal of this today was to see what toe up, if it was going to be any more effective for me. And at, again, 400 to 450, I don't know if I could give you necessarily an approval. Watching, hope you enjoyed that review on the toe up putters. We still got a lot to cover. We've got wedges, we've got bunkers, we've got even full shots. So if there's anything you want to see specifically next, let me know in the comments below. And you could have a mini lesson made specifically for you from a guy who's worked with guys on tour and have even helped design some of the equipment you remember. Keep practicing, stay focused.